search engine marketing and your social media and how those two intersect and how social media can help with your search engine marketing. And I figured that it might be good to start off with a basis. You all have a handout there, and something that always, people get into a habit of trying to say, hey, how can I manipulate the search engines? How do I make them work for me? And an easier thing to do is say, how can I make what I do work for the search engines? And to understand what the search engines are looking for is the only goal that a search engine has. The only goal that a search engine has, besides making a lot of money, is provide the most relevant search results possible. If I am the location on the internet that provides the most relevant search results possible, if you type in what you're looking for, and I give you exactly what you want every single time, I'm going to be your go-to property. And that's why Google beat out Yahoo, and why Yahoo beat out Alta Vista and Lycos, and why, you've just watched this progression come along, right? Bing is now here, and some people like the interface, better for Bing, but I would say they're using some of Yahoo's results, so they're not really going to beat Google per se. Google's 72% of all search, and it's because when you use them, they're providing you with the most relevant results. And so instead of trying to manipulate the search engines, try and say, you know what, how do I construct an online presence that I provide the most relevant results, and what is Google going to look at to see if I'm going to do that or not? And I've made a list of some of the key factors, and the first is site saturation. All right, so the number of pages inside your website will help determine where you're going to score on the search engine. So if Google's goal is to provide relevant results, am I going to, if I'm Google, give the audience a website that has 1,000 pages in it over a website that has 4 pages in it? What are the odds that the 1,000-page website has more relevant information than the website that has 4 pages? Pretty high, right? So I'm going to look and see, how big's this website? Is this relevant, and is this going to provide me with better results and get more people to come here to buy ads? And the answer is yeah. So the larger your website is, the more pages that are indexed, the higher it's going to score on the search engines. That's one variable. The other thing is the number of inbound links and the relevancy of those links. So if I've got a website with, I think Webolutions' website has 11,000 inbound links to it, right? So if I've got a website with 11,000 inbound links, and Google looks at another website and says, hey, they've got 5 inbound links, which one does Google's algorithm probably figure has the most relevancy? The one that has the most links coming into it, right? Because people have said this is a good website. So that's another factor that's important. Your website URLs, the addresses within your website. So if my domain name has the keywords that you looked for in it, probably a good chance that that website's content has something to do with those keywords, or you wouldn't put it in your domain name. So the website URL has something to do with it. And I'm going to say not just your domain name, but then the other extensions within your website. So if your homepage is whatever.com/, then the other keywords ought to be in there, and Denver Marketing Agency with dashes in between. If I'm going to put those things in my URL, odds are the page that I'm landing on probably has something to do with that. They look at, in the blue bar on your browser, there's a title tag that exists on every page in your website. If you're willing to put those keywords in that title tag, Google's going to say that probably has something to do with the content on the page. So going through and taking a look at the title tags, what goes in the blue bar up at the top of your browser and what it says. If you go to your home page and you look in that blue bar and it says home, well, that's what you'll score for on Google. That's probably not your goal, right? There ought to be some words in there that have to do with what you'd like to score well under. And that only happens like 50% of the time at the websites that I look at. At all different levels in companies. And then on every single page throughout your website, you have the ability to put those keywords in there in the title tag, and you have the ability to get the main ones to the front, group phrases together, and people don't do this. So that's important, right? Then inside your body content, you've got something called header tags. Well, you should have something called header tags. Probably only half the websites have those in there. So an H1 or an H2 or an H3 tag will be in there, and your H1 will supposedly be the biggest content up at the top of your page. Do you have a header tag, and does it have keywords in it? Google will take a look at that and see if that's happening. Your website body content. If I've got my home page and I want to sell real estate in Denver, probably a good idea that somewhere in the body content the terms real estate and Denver appear if I want Google to think that my website has something to do about this, right? Maybe it's going to appear 2 or 3 times depending upon the amount of content that I have. Then if some of those are hyperlinks, that's also going to add to Google, because they're going to say, oh, this website has more pages about this. I should index it higher, right? The interlinking strategy, how your website links together internally, what the hyperlinks are and how that's constructed has something to do with where you're going to score in Google. And then your website crawlability. Is Google able to go to your home page and then go through and index all the rest of the pages? Just because you have a 1,000-page website doesn't mean Google's going to see 1,000 pages of content within your website. If your links aren't put together well, if they're a graphic and there's no coded links or anything, you can have an XML sitemap that helps that search engine crawl. You can have an HTML sitemap that helps that robot crawl. A robots.txt file gives the search engines instructions on how to crawl your website. And so there's a few other things that you can manipulate that will show the robots how to go through and crawl your website better and index things better, and having those optimized will help also. Also, the last thing is the physical address of your business. So if I want to score well for a term in Denver, for example, it really helps if my physical address is in Denver. So if a person ever has an option, they ought to get an address within the geographic city that they want to score well for. In absence of that, because that's not always an option, the consistency of your address and how you're listed out there in other directories and reviews and what people are saying out there is really important to move you up in the local search results that Google's combined. If I go out and I do a search on Google for coffee, I know Starbucks has about 7,000 pages of content, right? And so if I were going to go out and say I'm starting a coffee company and I want to sell coffee nationally or globally, I would know that in the beginning I have to build a website that can get me to 7,000 pages at some time in the near future, or I should try and market myself on the search engines. And I should look at who's in position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and know what I need to do before I even start. So a lot of people want to do search engine marketing after the website's built. No, don't build it and then market it. Find out how you're going to market it and then build it for that. And it's a heck of a lot easier to be successful if you do it that way. Do the work up front, you know. And you guys can use Website Grader for this. We've talked about this tool before, websitegrader.com. So go to the search engines. Go to the search engines. Yeah, type in the keywords you want to score well for. See who's scoring there. Take their website address, put it in Website Grader, run a report, and it's going to show you how many pages of content that website has. It's going to show you their header tag on their home page. It's going to show you their description on their home page. It's going to show you their meta title on their home page. It's going to show you how many inbound links they have at their website. And you can say, okay, this is all I need to do. I need to build something better than this, and I can score at the top. It's very easy. And it's controllable.